Okay. Just kidding.
Okay.
You're a failure.
Mm-hmm.
That's today's topic.
Yes. Fear of failure. What does that
You came up
mean?
with this. So what?
Yeah.
Try to put it down. I mean,
Um,
honest, also like I think.
really.
Yeah.
This is just honestly it was like super late and I was just thinking of topics for this podcast and I think this is something that have we talked about this before? Oh, I thought we
We
had,
talked about imposter syndrome.
but we
Not
had.
on
Yeah, yeah,
this.
yeah. Oh, I have this very vivid memory of like biking across the bridge at my old building and then like this is so random, but it was like not snowy, but like the ground was like a little icy. So I slipped, like my bike slipped a little, and I almost lost one of my AirPods because it fell out, and then like it was on the bridge, so it almost fell off into the
Oh my
ocean.
god.
But for some reason, the thing that I was thinking about around that time, like biking, it was also super late. Um, was this topic exactly, and why I have this fear of failure sometimes. And so I guess that came to me. Maybe it was the same time, strange coincidence that it came to my head again, and so I wrote it down as a topic for the podcast. So yeah, fear of failure. That's what we're talking about today. What does it mean to you?
What do you mean? What does it mean to me?
Like, do you? I don't know. Like, what does it mean? Like, do you have it? Do you think you have
I
it?
think
Is
I
it
have it.
contextual?
See, that's interesting because I was sort of taken aback when I saw this topic, and especially when you wanted to talk about it, mainly because I think I attribute what could possibly be a fear of failure to other things. Like I'm pretty sure I tie this with imposter syndrome more than I
Mm,
identify it as specifically failure, or I tie it with do you know the idea of not being disciplined instead of just calling it like, oh, I failed.
mm.
It's like a really really strong word. That was sort of what I was thinking of as
So it's not
fear
a
of
word you
failure.
normally.
I think it's so strong that I just like avoid it, you know.
Mm.
But if we were to get into the, as we are getting into the gritty parts of it, yeah, I think it's a big part of where we are now. You know, it's you know, aspiring human being.
I think for me it's different. Like from just us being students because like I've been a student my whole I've never I'm happy and privileged to say that I've never failed like a test or an exam
Mm-hmm.
or something like that in my educational career. But I think that sometimes I do have this fear of failure creeping in,
Mm-hmm.
and I do think that it is contextual because it's not about me. Maybe to an extent it is about me being confident in my skills, but I've had like times where I'm writing an exam and I'm not like 100% I don't need to be 100% confident, but I've never like been in a position where I'm afraid to fail an exam. Like maybe only once, and that was during COVID, so I don't count it. But I did not fail. I actually did really well. Um, but for that time period, I literally like barely ate. I'd have like breakfast and like no lunch, no dinner, and maybe like some breakfast meal late at night for dinner, and like literally study all day. Cause I was so scared. For some reason, I was so scared that I was literally going to fail my IGCSEs. I was like I honestly thinking back, I don't know why, but that might have also helped me do better than if I was like I don't know if I was confident or whatever. But in other contexts where like you don't think you're good enough or you're not ready for something, like for me, like football is something that comes up to mind where like if I have a big game or like a game against a really strong opponent, I don't have this fear of failure. Like I'm not afraid to try. Like for me it like gets me more excited about the game, like ready to play. I guess maybe in sports it's a different kind of mind game, but a lot of time like academically I also don't get it, except just that one time. Have you ever had any encounters with this phenomenon?
So you don't get it.
We'll get into that, but I'm just saying, like, in that context now.
I okay. See, there's two sides of it. One is that I've failed more than I ever have in this current period
Mm,
because I've been trying for things.
mm,
Like I haven't been getting jobs for interviews I've been going to. I haven't been getting opportunities for things I'm reaching out for. But going into the context of like studying or working in that sense, I have more of a fear of like the idea of not reaching your full potential,
mm.
and that scares me more than it's like
Failing.
if I yeah then failing to the point where I'll do a little worse because that's what I'm more scared of than just failing. If that makes
Mm,
sense.
mm.
So for like the whole of my education between well the most important years for like middle school to high school, uh, I never worked except like exceptionally hard or studied really hard, even though I was capable of it, but I just didn't because I think I was like wasn't ready to admit that okay I have more potential than this.
Mm,
Um, so maybe I think I don't know. It's so to me something is saying like intuitively it seems like in a similar vein with this failure thing. It's
mm,
coming to terms with this big word failure or reaching this
mm.
potential. Anyway.
So for me, like back then, I wasn't afraid for like all my A's. It was just for one, and that was two. Actually, two, chemistry and additional mathematics, because for year 11, half of the year we did not have a teacher for those subjects, or like we'd have like a substitute come every twice a month,
Mm-hmm.
and so I really like did not know anything, and I had to self study. That was the first time like I actually had to self study. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that contributed to like this fear of failing, because like I'd never been in that situation before. And I think that for me is always when that happens. Because when I started my job search, story
Mm-hmm.
time, um, first job that I sent an application for, and I did everything nice and prim and proper, and it was for this big trading firm, and it was gonna be like a 2 month summer internship, like literally perfect. And they got back to me and were like, okay, um, we're gonna invite you to do this assessment. You have 2 weeks to complete it. And this was over the winter break. And this is the first like time I'd been in the situation of like I guess looking for a job. And I was so scared of like actually like I didn't want to admit it to myself at the time because I literally had all the time in the world to do this thing or even prepare and do this
Mm-hmm.
thing. But I just never did. And then on the last day, like I finally get myself to like open the assessment link
Mm-hmm.
and then just have a look to see if I could have done it. So then I can tell myself, oh, if I did it, I would
Mm-hmm.
probably pass. But so I ended up just not doing the assessment, and yeah, obviously they're not gonna tell like get back to me like, oh, yeah, next round, like I just didn't do it. And I couldn't figure out why until I guess around the time where I put this in the document that we should do this podcast was like, yeah, I was just really scared of failure that to the point where it paralyzed me that
Oh,
I literally did not even like try. And yeah, I would say that's the first time that it's like been that bad. But normally, like I am confident enough in my abilities to do well, whether it's yeah, speaking in public, writing an exam, doing homework. I don't know. Like,
right.
but that was just like first time in this situation. And also, I literally can't tell you why I was that afraid to not even like try and do it. Obviously now, like I've done the process a couple times. Like I will do it. I'm more confident now. But who knows? If I did it, I might have already had a summer internship lined up, and I try not to think about that a lot. But yeah, so I think it's a problem that can definitely arise, at least in my situation, when I'm put in new surroundings.
In that position before because
Yeah.
I can immediately relate. That's exactly what's going on for me in terms of looking for minors and masters.
Mm,
And it was the situation I was in when I had to pick a uni and a degree to go to the
mm,
extent that I left it to the last moment, picked
mm,
one, just applied, didn't turn around and look back, and just went for it and got lucky
mm.
enough. Yeah. And now we're fortunately in the same, well, fortunately, but also unfortunately,
The same predicament.
decide things, and I'm so paralyzed by, I guess, what it is. It's failure. It's like the fear of
Mm,
failure, of what do I do? That I just don't
Yeah.
want to look into it. I'm leaving it. I'm refusing to look at the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we once spoke about this, but in order to do some things, you sometimes need a trigger, and it's like you opening it up on the last day, right? Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you will be able to get into position
Yeah.
where you do click it and check it out. And I mean, I've done that, but nothing's been enough to break out of this paralysis to
Mm.
fully look at what I should be doing.
I think it's funny because we did the motivation podcast,
Right.
but I think this could, in a way, twisted way, be seen as a form of motivation.
Yeah.
Because I feel like after that first one, when I completely just ignored it, and I lied to people, my dad, that I did, and just never got back to me, but I just didn't do it. But that kind of, I guess, motivated me to like not want to be in that position. So like obviously I worked harder to like learn the competencies to then be confident enough to not have that fear for further job situations. And the same thing that happened with that IGCSE exam. Ever since then, I literally nerves of steel when I go into an exam room. But yeah, I think that kind of, I guess, helped me break the cycle. But it's hard because you never know when that new situation arrives, and then whether or not you're ready for it, and how to not fall into that loop of being afraid. But what you bring up about like masters and like future
Mm-hmm.
studies like manners, that is, yeah, that's scary. I don't think I'm afraid to fail in that context,
Mm-hmm.
just more so worried about my options. Yeah. Yeah.
I think in the motivation podcast we did speak a little bit about how stress isn't necessarily a bad
Mm-hmm.
motivator. Um, motivator can be anything, and this definitely is it. What's tied to it a little bit might be like the fear of rejection, I suppose, in terms of
Mm.
applying for jobs. Do you think you have experienced any of that?
Fear of rejection.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if I should call it that though, because like if I see a job that has like over 100 applicants and it was just uploaded 2 hours ago, I'm not gonna apply to that job because I'm not saying fear of rejection, but like
Right.
that's ridiculous. Like the whole world applied to that job. I'm not even gonna try. Um, if you want to call it that, sure, but I don't see it as that at all. Interestingly, like when I was also applying for universities, I don't think I had this fear, like in at least at the time. But thinking back at it, maybe a little bit. But I did apply to, I guess, good schools regardless.
Mm-hmm.
What I will say though is that my personal letter, like at least for in the US, if you're
Mm-hmm.
applying to university, you need to write like a personal essay, and that's like the big thing. And I hated writing it. That could also be seen, I guess, as fear of failure because I did not want to write it until the
Mm-hmm.
last minute. Maybe it's just procrastination, but yeah, because I couldn't think of something that would be interesting enough to write about. Because my friends would talk about how they're writing about like this or that and super artistic or super deep, and like mine was literally like no idea what to write. I don't feel that for masters or minors applications. So maybe I just don't have that thing about fear of rejection.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking that, a lot of people, I don't know, you've probably heard this too, go, you're gonna experience so many rejections and you're gonna fail so much in your life or something. But at this moment, just thinking of the things I have tried for and the things that I've gotten back to me to say no. And yeah, many times it's like, oh, I'm incompatible,
Mm.
which makes sense, but it does take a bit of a hit each time, right?
Mm.
To the point where I think it's building up to this fear of failure and resulting in this
Do you
certain
apply for like everything under the sun, or do you pick like the things that you really wanna?
um I think for I tend to apply for things that I think I have a better handle of achieving.
Mm.
But in that process, as you know, are required to write like a letter of motivation. I get in my head a lot that, oh, this is something I really, really want, and I'm the perfect fit for this. But then
Mm.
it comes back and it's like you don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
and then that makes it almost so much worse because I've blown it out of proportion so
Right.
much. And it takes some time to think about it. And I definitely do that thing where I just don't think about it for a little bit because I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to. And at some point, I'll come to terms. I'm like, oh, I don't want it that much, and this is not a big deal. But this whole process takes time and has ripple effects and other
Oh
things.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm definitely gearing up for that with the internship that I'm applying for right now, where if like this Friday they tell me no, I would be probably like be like yeah, I would definitely take a hit. But before like I would apply, and if they said no to me before the first round, it generally did not have an effect on me. Because at first I wasn't applying to everything under the sun, but like I was trying to like if this mentioned like one thing that I liked, I would just put it there. But I think definitely like if you were more tailored with it and like picking like actually picking things that you like, it could definitely be more of a blow. Because a lot of the times the people that say yeah, you'll see a lot of failures when you're applying, they just apply to everything on the sun. And obviously, you're not gonna get
Yeah.
all of those things. So now that I'm taking a more tailored approach, it is definitely gonna like hurt more to say, but it'll be interesting to see how that then translates to future applications and whether or not I will be afraid again to fail. Because I will tell you before my interview, um, when I clicked in the link, it was a Microsoft Teams meeting, and they weren't there immediately. They said, "Oh, when the owners joined, we'll let them know, and then they'll add you in, right?" And then 5 minutes went by. I was like, low key, I would be happy if they just didn't join the meeting and rescheduled. And I'm not necessarily saying that that was me afraid to fail the interview, but I guess it could be seen that way because, like, just for a split second, I thought like, oh, if they don't join, that would actually help a lot. But then now looking back, like, I'm glad that it happened when it did, because if it had been postponed, then I would have definitely gotten into my head way more, way more. Yeah.
I also think a big part of failure or getting things or whatever is the idea of like having good timing or having good chances, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's what I think scares me a lot is that you could be doing everything right, but poor timing would
Yeah.
knock you down. I've also I don't know the media I've been consuming lately. I can't remember what it was. Brought up this idea of people failing upwards. Have you heard of that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I hate that, and it's also come up when I speak to people that I was like, "How did you get this?" or "What did you do to work at this?" Or oh, people always like speak to people. Everyone's like, talk to them,
Mm,
find out what they did, and then you find out it was like, "Oh, I just got lucky."
yeah, I hate
And
when
it's like,
people say,
oh
God.
my gosh.
It's like,
So it's like this is nothing that I could have done, but then again, it's not good to not put that responsibility on yourself to think that this was out of your hands, out of
mhm,
nowhere.
yeah.
This is something I could have done.
To me, like, if it's chalked up to something that's out of my hands, I'm generally more okay with it now. But I do get like peeved off when people say, "Oh, I just got lucky." Because what do you mean you got lucky? Like, obviously, we could talk about how there is luck real or blah, 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 but yeah, it does piss me off. But do you think there's like a societal aspect to having this fear of failure? Like, do you think you have pressures from friends, family, society at large on?
I think the there's a bit of a societal convention that it's like I'm a little bit embarrassed if I'm telling you about a failure I've had, or if I'm telling you about this position I didn't get,
Mm,
or an interview that I flopped, or worse yet, it's like someone close by me who maybe someone like my friend applied for the same thing and they got it because then it's like a direct comparison that I didn't get it,
mm,
and I'm a little bit embarrassed to bring that up. And I think
mm,
we're moving to an age where people are supposed to be like, oh, like no worries, this is no reflection of you whatsoever.
mm,
But I don't know. I have a thing against it. I'm like, oh, I do not want people to know. I
mm.
want people to know I tried and then failed. I got
Right,
everything that
yes,
I
that's where it
didn't
comes
get.
from. Because
Yeah,
then if you fail, then there's an embarrassment.
yeah. What about
I
you?
can see that. Yeah, no, definitely like more of the same. And then obviously on the, I mean, familial and also society at large aspect, I'm a firstborn, so already that's like I guess in traditional sense, at least in West Africa, Ghana specifically, probably also some other parts of the world, that the firstborn is like the most important because you pave the way for your siblings and you have to get it right because then that tells them what they need to do and so on and so forth. And also society at large being a man, not only that, but these days, I feel like in general, there's so much pressure on like getting successful early in your life. Like also maybe because of social media. I'm not even on it as much, and like this kind of affects me where you see people like 21 already like with companies. I've never been someone to want to start a company to begin with, but it's like just that pressure like being a man and having this much money set aside to then support your wife later or your parents or retire your parents, buy your mom a house, support your siblings, whatever, things of that nature. There definitely is a fear of like what if I don't achieve that, so then if I at least if I don't try I can't say that I failed at that, you know.
Mhm.
um but then it's like, bro, and that's why I hate LinkedIn so much. Sorry to go off on a tangent, but every time I open LinkedIn it's some person talking about how they miraculously solved cancer or made the world a better place through doing this, and they were 11 years old and now they graduated from Harvard Law and they're getting their PhD and whatever, and by the way they're a great mom
Mhm.
at 20 years old. And so honestly, if can we just have a job search platform that isn't also social media?
Right.
I think there already are those, but LinkedIn is like the biggest one, and
Mhm.
like yeah, I honestly, because that does put a lot of pressure. And it's even worse when it's like my friends who are like you said getting internships and they post about it, like that's fair, you can do that obviously, but it's like that puts pressure on me,
Yeah.
and then that could translate to fear of failure. But luckily my situation more often than not transfers to motivation to actually, like one time I looked on LinkedIn and I saw that my friend had started another internship, and he's in the US, so the US has more like internship based education system where like you need to do like 10 internships before you graduate. So I guess that's more normal for them. But when I saw that, I was like, okay, yeah, I need to get my shit together. And it was like 2 a.m. I was like, okay, gonna change up my CV a little bit, gonna apply to a couple of jobs. And in that situation was good. But sometimes it's definitely been like, okay, I actually don't want to try because what if I'm not like this person who might be lying on LinkedIn? Um, but yeah, there is a societal pressure and a familial pressure that contributes to this fear of failure.
Already like blows things up disproportionately
Hmm.
early because for all you know they're glorifying their coffee bringing
Right.
internship into this big position of a fancy position
Yeah.
when nonetheless it stresses you out, and then in turn it stresses like me out because then I
Mm-hmm.
saw people around me like, oh my god, everyone is doing things, I need to be doing
Hmm.
something.
Hmm.
And it gets really stressful.
I think what helps sometimes is like when you're in that situation is looking back at what you've done and like really, I guess, understanding this because it's easy to, like you said, it's easy to get lost by the scale of what other people are doing. But if you kind of look back, like maybe you wouldn't have thought like when you were X years old that at this point you'd be doing this or like that, and then that can easily get lost when you're always looking at people above you, because I feel like on this metaphorical ladder you never look down at people below, you always look up to
Yeah.
like the next person you want to be like or overtake. And so yeah, you very quickly get, I guess, discombobulated at your actual position where it could be really high up on the ladder,
Mhm.
but you just haven't looked down in so long that you think you're still at the beginning when you're not. So that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, also really get into my head about the idea that the only person I'm failing is myself, so
Mm.
that affects just kind of facade. It's not that bad. I can keep going.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't happen because again, it gets like really disproportionate.
Yeah.
When they,
Have I had a situation where my failure led to my greatest achievement? Hmm. No, I don't even know what my greatest achievement is. But my failure have definitely led to like big bounce backs. That's the thing that
yeah,
is yeah. I feel like when you fail or when you're afraid to fail to the point where it paralyzes you and you end up, I guess, failing but not so bad because you didn't try. it's definitely hard to get back up.
Mhm.
But I think it's really about turning into motivation to like bounce back really hard. Like with the exam situation, like after IGCSE, I switched to AP, and then so after that whole stint of being afraid to fail, um, I mean, I ended up getting really good at doing exams to the point where I remember in 11th grade, so not year 11, 11th grade, which is like
It's
year
different.
12. It is different.
Okay.
Yeah, it was hard switching from British school to American, but 11th grade is year 12 and 12th grade is year 13. So in 11th grade, I I had AP, my first ever AP exams, and my dad was so worried that I wasn't studying at all for these exams. Like obviously I was studying, but definitely nowhere near as much as I did for my IGCSEs. Like I'd like read through the textbook once a night and like watch Rick and Morty or something. And I did really well. So I think in that situation, yeah, having that fear of failure for so long ended up being a really good thing in the sense that it taught me to be so confident at the art of taking exams.
What if it's in a situation that, it's not the idea that you've done well before, so you should think about that and not about um what was the point you just made?
Well, like turning it to
Oh yeah,
motivation.
check it into reservation, right? Oh, I just blanked for a second. Instead, it's like this is a reality check, and you need to be doing better.
Mm,
So, sort of like a stressful motivation.
mm.
What would you do in that situation?
I mean, it's exactly what you said. It's a stressful motivation. Like it's reality check. You need to do better. Like
Doing a
if
push
you
you, but what if it just paralyzes you more than
so like okay, let's say you applied for this job you thought you were really good for, great motivation letter, blah 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 blah, and then the recruiter says no, and then you ask why, which I recommend you should all the time. But then if they end up saying like something that really hurts you, like maybe what you thought was your strongest trait, they said that wasn't good enough, and then like, oh damn, I'm really not as good as I thought I was. To me, it's like, okay, I really need to step up my game. Obviously, you're allowed however much time you need, not too long to like grieve or like let yourself go. But
much time do you think that is?
honestly, I would say like a couple of days, maybe a weekend. Not everybody's the same. You can stretch that out to a week or as little as a couple of hours. Like after that interview, I had like an hour of just going through the motions of like, I hate my life. I hate the program. I hate what I'm doing. I hate that I'm like this. I hate that I don't know enough. And then like after I was like, okay, whatever happens, happens. And then we move. Obviously, not everybody's like that. But yeah, do allow yourself some time to like experience the full range of emotions, but then you just really have to anchor yourself on your morals and values and know like what's important to you. And I feel like that is like a strong place of motivation to like get better at whatever it was that led to you failing through that fear of
What
failure.
did you do when you're spewing in anger?
Honestly, I just sat at my desk because the meeting ended. I just stared at my screen and I was just thinking like, hmm, 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 hmm. And then yeah,
I think I've often myself. Yeah. You
I
want
almost
to?
threw something
Yeah.
because normally only
What
once
did you
I've thrown a slipper, and that broke my laundry basket thing right there. Um, but yeah, I don't get like physically violent. I just sit there and think. And then yeah, I didn't distract myself. I think sometimes that's a good thing, but in the wake of things, in the immediate aftermath, I definitely think you should like
face the music?
literally let it just happen, and then you can distract yourself for a couple of days again, and then you really need to like rethink. Journaling helps. Write down what you no,
Serious?
yeah, no, I like sometimes it's hard to write. Like obviously like, I don't do this all the time, but some I have found that sometimes like if you write down like your thoughts, it helps you number one articulate it more, and then you can read it back and like think, okay, it's not that bad. Because I feel like when everything's in your head, it just goes in circles. when it's on paper, it's sequential.
Mm.
So that helps like clear things up, and then you go again, and now you're not as afraid to fail because you failed before, and then boom, you're the you're the person
Like you're
talking
not
on LinkedIn.
afraid not achieving your full potential. Do you
Yeah,
think you've achieved your full
no,
potential?
I think this might be a little sad, but I think I already kind of
Peaked.
not peaked. No, I missed the mark on achieving my full potential. I've at least I've had that thought before, and now I think there's still opportunities to get back on that path. But yeah, it was really like because from like early childhood till like end of high school, I was just told all you need is good grades, and you're gonna go to Yale,
Mhm.
you know. And I believe that because that's what the people older than me were telling me, all my aunties, all my uncles, all my parents. And yeah, they then reinforce that by if I get good grades, they take me out for this or get me that or whatever. And so I just thought, okay, you just have to school, 4.0 GPA, and then boom, you're gonna go to Harvard. But that maybe that was it in their time, but now it's like you literally need to be a genius
Mhm.
and also like build a car when you're in third grade to
Yeah.
in order to get there. And so I did all that. I 4.0 graduated, boom, 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 boom. Didn't get into an Ivy League, and then I was like, yeah, my life is over, pretty much. Obviously, like I still have those thoughts sometimes now that like what if,
Mhm.
like because I feel like I did most of what should have been done, but didn't get there. And obviously people way, way smarter, way more talented than me that definitely deserve more. But in the position that I am, now I do think that there will be an opportunity later down the line where I can get back on the perch, I guess. So I definitely am afraid of not reaching my full potential because I think I've missed the mark before, but I am ready. I think I'm getting myself ready to be in the right situation, to have the right skills when the time comes to then reach that potential,
You don't
if that
think
makes
it's a
sense.
situation where in every situation you can reach your full potential? You think it's a specific
I mean,
path?
yeah, because I'm thinking like large picture. Obviously,
Yeah.
like in every
Yeah,
every
no, you're right.
scenario
Just
has
big
its
picture.
yeah, big picture. I think yeah, it's like a long path. Maybe you might deviate it from a little, but you'll cross roads again, and you have to make the right decisions to
Mhm.
continue on that road or go on the wrong road.
I mean, what happened before was like that was out of your hands. You did what you were told, and what was supposed to happen didn't happen. So
Yeah, but obviously, like if we can get into the whole long of it, but yeah, the short of it is, to me at least, for some time, I thought that I had. Yeah, not reach my full potential and that now it's just gonna be a sub version of myself. And I mean, if you believe in parallel universes, then there's a version of me out there that has already reached that potential and is doing great things at the age of 19. But I don't want to get into that. What about you? Do you have that?
I'm not good at the long term perspective thing. I'm really good at the short term.
Just situation by situation.
Yeah, I think just imagining things long term almost seems a little bit too out of reach, and I'm
Mm,
unable to link what happens now to the then.
mm.
So then I just a lot of times they just get into my head. What I want to ask is, um, I can't believe you were that angry after your interview that you told me about that I thought went well.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe I was in my head, maybe I wasn't, or maybe I'm
Thinking back now, do you think it
reciting
went?
it, huh?
Thinking back now, do you think it went well?
No.
No, what?
I'm just worried
Why
because,
can't
like you
you?
said, like if I like I because this I didn't write a motivation letter, but the fact that I've been like through all the rounds and this is like
Right.
the final round, it's like I've put in so much like time
Yeah.
into this. Like
You know what your
if
heart.
I yeah if I literally if I fail, then it's like yeah it might be hard to get back up. That would be a hard blow, but luckily uh I don't have I hopefully wouldn't have school to worry about then, so I can just indulge myself in the failure and bask myself in yeah. But yeah, okay, let's talk situational then. Like, you think in what situation or kind of situation do you then have this fear of not reaching your full potential?
I think I'm in paralysis a lot.
Mm,
The idea of wanting to just avoid everything and just procrastinate and just distract
mm-hmm.
myself from big things, or to try and get super freaked out and send an email and shut my laptop because it's like, oh my
Mm,
god, I did it, or something like that. Um, I don't know. What do you want to know?
well, first, do you get a feeling of relief after you do it? Like, after procrastinating for so long?
No, it's more
Um,
like a spiral of thinking, oh my god, I just spent all that time doing other things. But if you don't stop, then you don't have to reflect on that.
right.
I think a lot of things are sort of spirals. I have something to bring up now.
What?
We've spoken a lot about failure, but only in terms of, work life
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
success. I feel like I know what the answer to this will be, but what about failure in other aspects of your life, other dynamics?
Like friendships and relationships.
I think so. I think those are the other areas.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, yeah. We're very boring
Yeah.
people. That's interesting. I feel like again with friends, I feel like I just don't place too much emphasis. That's not true. Track back. I definitely do sometimes have this. I mean, I feel like that's why that could be part of the reason why I don't want a relationship right now.
Mhm.
Probably be,
Romantic.
huh?
You mean like
Yeah,
romantic?
yeah, 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 yeah. Relationship, romantic, friendship, none. Yeah, that's just so we can avoid the confusion. But I feel like yeah, one of the reasons why I don't want that right now is probably due to this, I guess, fear of failure. Like, cause yeah, nobody likes to be heartbroken, like so. I also don't want to put myself in a situation where it doesn't work out, and you know, like I need to take a couple of months of not being on my best to build myself back up. I feel like with that, at least for me, it takes longer to get over and get back to your normal self than like if it's an exam or a job. Maybe because I experience that a lot more often in my day to day than a breakup. So yeah. And then with friendships, um I wouldn't say I have a fear of failure in terms of like I approach I think I'm a very approachable person or like open. I like to make friends, and I've never been stopped by feeling that the friendship won't work, or yeah, that we'd fall out or they wouldn't like me.
What about as you're also a brother and a son, and
Um,
actually that's it.
as a bro, oh, I haven't had this fear of it, but like I've been worried that I'm not like saying or doing the right things for my siblings. I guess like once or twice I've had that worry, but I mean I'm working on it. I'm trying to be a good big brother, you know. And then as a son, that's hard. I mean, like, I don't know. What about you? As
Wait, just before we get there, so with this whole relationship thing, what have you done in the past however long since you've been in a relationship? You've just what, like shut yourself off?
not shut myself off, but I've just not been looking or trying to get in a new one, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but things happen if you don't try, right?
Yeah, but like
It's
I make the
conscious effort.
no, I make the situation clear that I am not looking for
You make
relationships.
the situation clear.
I don't know. What am I trying to say? I make the I clearly give the message. Not obviously not like explicitly literally saying, but yeah, I make it known that this is not a relationship.
You've done a pretty good job of that. and knowing you for the past 2 years, just because of how many of our peers have explicitly stated that they're looking for a relationship.
Mm,
And I think if we were to take a poll of people to ask, like, what's Caleb's interest, people will be like, probably not right now.
yeah. See?
Interesting. What about me? Okay. Um, See, when I asked this question, I didn't have anything in mind. It just like I just realized we'd only been talking about
Yeah.
work and nothing else. With the friends thing, it has come up before. Like I'm worried that, like what you said about your siblings, that I'm
A bad friend.
not doing things right. Yeah,
Mm,
that things I'm not doing well. And oh, actually, this year I have had like friendships that have failed
mm-hmm.
in that sense. I don't know, they've ended, which I
Mm-hmm.
guess would mean that like,
Failed. Yeah.
and it,
Not always, but for the sake of this
yeah,
podcast, yeah.
it's it, right? And it did, oh God, yeah, it did take a bit of a moment of like, I recognize like my doing in this,
Mm,
and there's not much I can do now because what happened has happened, and then I guess it also trickles into like, oh, this better not happen to anything else, or it trickles into probably why now I focus on like very specific friendships, and I'm not just out socializing as much with just companions, I suppose
mm-hmm.
would be better to call it. Um, and in terms of like in my family, my mom's the type of person where no matter what I tell her, she'll be happy and
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote proud just because
Mm-hmm.
she's reached her accomplishments.
Mm-hmm.
So anything I do just makes her accomplishments seem better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and in that sense, it's nice that anything I go to her, I pretty know anything that I go to her about, I pretty much know what the outcomes could be. So probably got this disillusion that this effect that I'm not feeling as a daughter. I
Mm-hmm.
see. That is quite a heavy turn though
Yeah.
to think how we're doing as children. Um, but yeah, I'm the younger sibling, so I have to worry a lot less about the whole sibling
Mm-hmm.
relationship thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's about it. I can't imagine it in any other areas of our life that we'd be fitting in.
Do you put pressure on your brother to like be a good brother? Do you think?
Well, not to scare you anymore, but a lot of a lot of what he said to me as like growing up, I took as
The
like the
law.
Bible
Mm.
pretty much,
Yeah.
and it's guided a lot of the things I've chosen to do and become later on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I get that you probably have a bit of pressure thinking about these
Yeah.
things. I don't know. This probably would be something that he would rack his head on, but for me, he's just my older brother. Like nothing he does is like I would question.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never really had to consider much in that area.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I figured as much that your the younger siblings look up,
Yeah,
especially like early on, like once both are of age, 18 and above, like I think it's a little less, but like definitely when you're younger, it's more like, yeah, whatever they say is the gospel. Sometimes even more so than the parents.
yeah.
But yeah. Um,
I think it would be good now to mention that I don't think either of us are particularly rattled by the fear of failure. But it was more so
oh yeah.
a topic to discuss on this podcast, which is why
Definitely,
we're
yeah.
exploring.
I have talked with people who are definitely like a lot more troubled by this, and
Mhm. Yeah, if you straight up asked me, "Do you have a fear of failure?" I'd probably say no.
no,
Yeah.
yeah. But obviously, if the situation arises, then
Mm.
I could be put in that situation. I think the same could be said for you, but we're definitely not experts on
Yeah.
having the fear, which is, I guess, a humble brag. But
This is a fun area to explore.
mhm.
For the
um, anyways, failure. Who fears? I don't know.